Next Frontier in AI.
That sounds like a Star Wars episode.
Yeah, it really could.
Actually, no. Sounds like more like a Star Trek episode.
So let's so we're the twins. I'm Carrie Little,
I'm Mina Blazy.
and we're gonna have a conversation around artificial intelligence and how it is shaping the world of education and real estate and the what do we say? The elementary schools, the high schools, the middle schools, higher
College, the
ed.
business. Yeah, everything. All the things. That's a thing people say now. All the things.
Yeah, we're too old for that, but all the things. Here we go. Let's start with this. Let's just start off with a bang. What is happening in the world of education, the next frontier? What's happening in the world of education that is just think outside the box, like just crazy happening in the world of artificial intelligence?
Um, that's a good question. And I think that when we talk about artificial intelligence, there's this idea that it's a new thing. I think people get very, very confused and they think, oh my gosh, AI is going to take over the world. But it already did. And you know that. And you can even say it took over when we got Microsoft Word and Excel. And those of you that remember Lotus 1, 2, 3, like AI was already generated years ago. The difference is now we're seeing it's so rapid that it's changing everything. So when we talk about when we talk about AI today, we're talking about generative AI. There's a difference. And that
It's not
difference
just
is,
ChatGPT.
say it again.
I said it's not just ChatGPT.
No, it's not just ChatGPT, because if you Google, we say Google, if you Google it, Dr. Google, Google it, the Googly, whatever you wanted to say it, that is AI. And you know it's artificial intelligence because you ask it a question and it will spit out maybe a YouTube video, some ideas, but it's just giving you what's already there. Well, generative AI is generating something completely new. And what it's doing, like the GPTs, like ChatGPT, which is OpenAI's, Gemini, which is Google's, also known as Bard, but it's now Gemini, Perplexity, Copilot, you name it. What it's doing is it's generating something. And if you think about your own brain, if you go in your own head for a moment, you think about, you come up with an idea, you're going for a walk, and your brain, the synapses, the neurons are just firing. And then all of a sudden you have this idea. Well, that's what generative AI is doing. It's going to search books and articles and what other people have said, and you ask it a question and it gives you something back. So it's generating something based on artificial intelligence. It might give you an image, it might give you audio, it might give you a video. It's creating something brand new for you based on what other people have already done or what
Go
you
ahead.
have already done.
Can I summarize?
Yeah.
What you're saying to me is it's like the next big step in tech, and it's like machines acting more like humans.
Somewhat. Yes. But at a faster and more proficient way.
Oh yeah, I should say yeah, because we process, we think, we brain dump, we write things on the wall on giant post-it notes. We have a team of people where this just basically put the team of people all together, almost like Wonder Twins activate. Or
Um,
maybe like remember when the movie I, what the Marvels when they all came together to beat what was his name? Man, oh, it's gonna keep okay. You keep talking, and I'm gonna go figure out. Remember that the last Marvel movie, and we're both googling it, right? We're going to the googly Marvel movie. Who did they um fight? I'm going basic. What was his name in the Avengers, the final movie? Thanos. Got it. So remember when they all came together and it was like they were huge superhuman? That's kind of like what generative AI is
generative
doing.
AI. Yeah. So the reason why you went to Google, you went
What'd you
to
do?
Google, and now I'm like, I'm wondering um, if I just type in Marvel movie ring guy and what comes up.
I didn't even think of Ring Guy.
Um, and I was like, I was
And
thinking,
I was very basic. Movie, Marvel movie, who did they fight? I got Thanos.
and when I put Marvel movie ring guy, it says Thanos. Faster. Had I done that first, it probably would have been so much faster. But you said something that I wanted to go back to. You said writing all these things on the wall, we brain dump and everything else. That's actually a better version of my, brain of what I talked about with generative AI. What generative AI is doing is it's going to get all the brain dumps everywhere. So the free version gets what's before 2019, but the paid version is more recent, and it's taken all the brain dumps of these people who train it. So in the GPT, generative pre-trained transformer, so there's a bunch of people. They're actually, so when you said human like, it is human like, because the GPT is so organized, the program is so organized that it takes the brain dump and it spits something out very quickly. And we think that, and I almost want to say that my image of this is some robot that's just going around and grabbing stuff, almost like the Matrix, like you're in the Matrix and it's grabbing all this human stuff and spitting it out. But that's a fear that people have, like, oh my gosh, it's too fast, it's going to make us stupid. But they said that about
What
Google
did you say it
search
looks like?
engines.
Like a human?
Like just I don't, if anybody ever remembers the Matrix, and what they did is they had all these humans, and they just sat them somewhere in this place, and they were not being human anymore. They were taking this stuff away from them, this information, and that can be scary. That's actually what people are thinking. It's like that this is happening, but honestly, if I had an image, that probably would be what it would be. Like, and they think that it's going to take over and take away, say, real estate jobs or business jobs or educators. But I would argue it's going to do both. It's either going to make you really proficient and really efficient, and make your job a little bit easier. And if you don't jump on it now, you're going to get left behind. And unfortunately, I don't know about real estate. You can probably talk about that. We Education is like 6 to 10 years behind all the time. All the time. We tend to put stuff in front of kids, and teachers don't know how to do it. And I
And
mean
what's
that even with
interesting,
Google, because they used to copy, cut, and paste and have these hyperlinks in their papers. And then we'd be mad at them for cheating and call it plagiarism, but we didn't teach them how to use it. And that's what we're here for, to teach people how to use it ethically, appropriately, and as a tool,
so
and not
what you're
as a cheat
saying
mode.
is in the education space, that educators, principals, superintendents need to have not just a working knowledge, they probably need to be somewhat of a practitioner, and how can they implement it into what they do every day so they can explain it to the next generation or our new students. In the real estate space, owners of companies, brokers in the 50 states, brokers, managing brokers, they need to understand, because real estate agents are using this for the simple things like writing listing remarks or
Right, right,
writing response in email. We're using it to create content on social media. I mean, just the simple things. But if we don't know, if we don't understand, if we don't know the pros and cons, and if we don't know what's happening on the back end and where the stuff, all the things are coming from to give us the information, it could harm it. There could be a fair housing violation, there could be an ethics violation, you could end up plagiarizing, or because we know that these tools, these artificial intelligence tools, you said the GPTs could hallucinate. So we got to understand, and I would have to say the real estate industry is behind, although we have tools like Realtors Property Resource, RPR, where they put in ChatGPT to read the data for us. it's there, it's simple, it's very basic. However, what real estate agents don't know, or even brokerages, is there are companies out there that have made tools where, Mina, if you call me and I'm your real estate agent, you can give me permission to listen to the conversation or my AI tool. And then when it's done, it'll schedule an appointment. It can go create a market analysis. It can then spit out all of the paperwork that you need to sign. There are tools out there, but we're afraid of it, that we won't go invest. And I'll say this, and you can explain it because I think you know the diagram. When something new comes out, how many people are there that decide what they're going to do? The people that go stand in line, the people that are like, give me a couple of weeks and I'll go buy it, or the people that really, really wait, like social media, and then they're frustrated when they don't know. What am I talking about?
So there's a bell curve,
That
and that bell curve is, and I put it in front of me just so that I make sure that I'm saying it right. So we have what's called on the left side, the innovators. And then those are the ones that they don't care if the tech is bad, they're going to go buy the iPad, like when it first came out. Then you have the early adopters, and those people, and you can be an innovator and an early adopter. You can be any of these. So you have innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and what we call laggards. And it's 2.5% innovators, about 13 to 15% early adopters, 34% early majority. So that side of the bell curve, that where they're like, yes, let's do this. And then on the other side, so there's three of those, but on the other side there's two, and there's the late majorities. That's 34%, and then about 15 to 17% of laggards. And what does that mean? Early adopters are like, they're the change agents. They're like, let's just try it.
we're going to go buy those new Jordans that are coming out and go stand in line all night, or let's go get
Right.
that Stanley Cup.
That Starbucks one. They're like, I just want to see what it's like, and they stand in line. Or back in the day when we had Black Friday, because there was no let's go shopping on Thanksgiving, and there was no let's go have Black Friday on Monday, like
Amazon Wednesday,
right.
whatever.
And early
Christmas in
adopters.
July.
So like for what you're doing as a real estate agent, you could have been an early adopter or an innovator. Like you were like, I didn't, the whole idea of home buying was like freaked out. So you may have been a laggard when it came to, I don't know if I ever can, but then when you figured it out, you were like,
My goal was
okay,
to
now I
help
got to help
everyone do it as
you.
fast as me.
Yeah, so you can switch that mindset in every organization, every educational system. We have all of those. And what happens in education? I bet it happens in real estate. You have people that in leadership or in school systems that are like, in New York and LA did this. Shut it down. Teachers can't use ChatGPT, and kids are gonna cheat. And then, what happens when people say that? All the kids went home and were like, well, what do you mean I can't do it? Can't and won't are two different things. Yes, I can. Let me show you how. Like, it's these belief systems that are like, oh, I can. And I promise you, Silicon Valley, we talked about it earlier, Singapore has preschoolers that have ChatGPT voice, because it's on your phone. By the way, Gemini, you can talk voice on Gemini on your computer. You can only do voice on ChatGPT on the app. And they're asking questions. And my favorite question they asked of ChatGPT was, why aren't Pokemon real? And it gives you a storyline as to why. So kids are asking questions, and what it's doing is it's making them smarter. There is power in knowledge. Now, there is that old adage, knowledge is power. I'm going to reverse that and say there's power in knowledge. And the more you know, the more that you can actually change and update and do things like that.
And what's interesting is, like, when I think back in high school, now of course, and I could go to elementary school, but I think high school specifically, because in my elementary school, I had some teachers that just really did a good job of making me go read encyclopedias. That was a thing. That was ChatGPT or the back, that was Google back in the day, the real books. So if I had like a tool, first, if I had Audible books, and if I had tools like Google, and if I had definitely artificial intelligence, I think I could have been a better student because it would have made me think. Now, today, I am I think I could almost sit with any small business owner or business owner to help them brainstorm and think, because I have gone through so many different processes of owning a business that I can help someone think out what their next step is or what their process is. But when I think back to when I was in high school, when I would have to write an essay, I struggled because my brain was like all over the place. And it wasn't until I think when I got to college that I realized that there were these things called highlighters. And so I would just write everything out, and then I would go back through, and I taught myself this, no one told me. I would highlight everything that sounded the same, like everything that was in one category would be yellow, something else would be pink, and then I would restructure my paper because I was all over the place. Had I had something like ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, I could take what I wrote and then I could throw it into the tool and ask it to organize my thoughts and don't change my voice. And I think that that's where in real estate and probably even in education or even in the trades, I think that we have so much opportunity, and why it's important to actually understand and learn, because we can work faster and smarter, especially with data in the real estate industry. I hated math in high school. I made it out of high school, loved sewing, loved wood shop, loved gym, PE, loved swimming. I didn't love the things that were hard because I couldn't get it out of my head. I had to memorize everything. So could you just imagine a real estate agent that doesn't understand data, or maybe they came from a trade, or maybe they were driving a school bus their entire life and now you want to be a real estate agent? Tools like Gemini can help them explain data to a consumer.
Yeah. And so first of all, you said highlighters. There is actually now a program for writing, and it's called Step Up to Writing. And they use 3 highlighters. They use yellow, pink, and green. And one color
That should have been my product.
right? One color at the very beginning is the theme, the topic. One is writing like all of the ideas, and then one wrapping it up. So when you said that, I was like, oh, in my eye,
Step
and I
up, what is it
remember
called? Step Up Writer?
Step Up to Writing. It's a program that districts use to help children and students write, and it's like a graphic organizer. It's
I wonder
green.
if there's an extension in ChatGPT.
Well, okay, so it's like it tells you, okay, I'm looking at it because it's been a while since I actually had to talk about it, but it's just the graphic of, what's the topic, what's the main idea, yellow, and then what are the ideas, red, like red meaning pink. Usually they use pink, but I say all that because we didn't have organizational tools the same way, and some teachers were great at writing, like Morgan and Madeline, and when they were at one of the elementary schools in Palm Springs, Morgan swears by this one teacher that was so good at writing it made her a good writer. So there's also access, and that access, ChatGPT or the GPTs or generative AI gives that to you. And I
And when you
believe,
say access, what do you mean?
I mean, it gives you the ability to get something that you normally wouldn't get. Like when I said Singapore, Silicon Valley, these high functioning school districts, they tend to be innovators or early adopters.
Mm-hmm.
So their students have access faster. So if they're already
It
using
levels the
GPTs,
playing field.
they didn't level the playing field. They're already way up
What
there.
I mean, but when you say it gives access, if
Oh
we
yes, GPT levels the playing field. We, mind you, just giving it to them, just like we gave Google, and then they copy, cut, and paste, and they have all these hyperlinks. If we just say, here's ChatGPT, go, kids are going to put the prompt in there, turn in an assignment, and never learn. That is why we have to, train educators and even real estate agents, if you're a broker, owner, whatever, you need to train your agents,
Agent.
because you don't want them to do exactly what you said. You don't want them doing copy, cut, and paste and then assuming it's right, because ChatGPT will make stuff up. In other words, it's going to grab information, just like when, you have that random person that feels like they know it all and they start telling you stuff based on what they believe and it's not true. We see that in politicians all the time. So you have to vet your information, and we have to help educators, the system, or people who teach other people, teach it in a way where they're helping people become proficient and not just making it up as they go. Does that make sense? Like, it's a lot.
But in what I mean, that I think that if we could just simply do exactly what you said, is taking a moment, even if you're the person that's what did you say, the person that's going to jump out right away, the innovator, I'm going to go figure it out right away. If we have that person that's going to understand and learn ChatGPT or Perplexity or Gemini or Copilot in Microsoft, they can be the person that can educate the office, or it will help them understand what the pros and cons. But if we don't step back and say, hey, we need to understand, we need to incorporate this, just like you said, there are agents even right now that will create marketing. And when they create marketing, they will Google images and use those images in social media. They'll use images in their email marketing. They will use a famous person's movie clip and think it's okay. But there's something called the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, and they don't know that that is a violation of the act. So absolutely, we need to be able to educate and train. And this is why we tell real estate agents, show up to in-person training, show up to online training, and take a class where it could be interactive, because then you can ask questions. Now, there are some people, because I know the next generation, like my kids, they like to learn self-paced. Not all of them, but they're self-paced. If that's you, learn how to ask questions and learn how to do some more research so you make sure you're not violating any of the rules.
Well, let me just say that in section 110 of the copyright law, teachers have more access than, say, a real estate agent. And that's because we're using education. If we're using it as an educational platform, we tend to be able to do things differently with said movies, pictures, and images, but we still have to give credit to whatever the movie is or the clip or the image. But we can't use it to create paid stuff. Like
Right.
so it just probably that's what you're thinking, because you're getting
Because our
paid.
goal is to generate new business. And so we
Right.
often think that it's cute, it's funny, and it is, but that's why you have to work with your brokerages, and you have to understand that we have to either buy the content, and that's why I even like Canva and Canva Magic, right? Because it's already paid for. You have the right to use those kinds of images.
Right. And I'm only saying that because we still have to educate teachers to, they still need to know that they have to go into the image, find out who owns the image. There are people that don't even realize that if you're going to use it, some of them say you can use it. You have to click in and go and do search behind the image and say, okay, I can use this image or I can't use this image, or give them credit like APA style, MLA style, like this is where I got the image from. But it is just slightly different in education. But again, you still have to tell people what you're doing.
Okay, so before we end, can you give me 1 to 2 ways the educators can leverage artificial intelligence?
Yes, if I were a classroom teacher today, I would tell a teacher that has never seen generative AI, ChatGPT, and all the other ones. I would say go in, create an account with your Google account, at least get the free account, and just ask it questions. Just play, because that whole platform, in the middle of it, we call that the playground. We let, just like we let children play with manipulatives and things like that, we want you to just play to get comfortable with it before we make it very educational and direct. Like go in and play with the platform. That's one thing that I would do. And then the other thing I would do is once you have played with it, I would use it for myself as an educator first, even as a real estate agent. Use it for yourself before you start putting things out to help others so that you understand what's going to happen. Typically, teachers will go in and say, how can I help this student? I need you to learn how to help yourself with it and become proficient before you start helping students, because the assumption is that it's okay to do that. And school districts are still trying to figure out policy and user, and students don't even have access in most school districts, but teachers do.
So here are my two. I'm going to say ditto. Number one, just like when you became a new real estate agent, we told you to go into the multiple listing service and play with it. When you work with a brokerage, we tell you to use your client relationship management tool, set up yourself as a consumer so you can see how it works, so you can understand the back end. So the same thing applies to artificial intelligence. Log in, play with it, test it, see how it works. Go ask it how, what are 10 things I can do to help someone prepare their home to put it on the market? Or what are 10 things a buyer should know when they go to purchase their first home? Like, go test it and read it. Are these things that you would actually say to the consumer? And then again, then my second thing would be is leverage it for maybe even writing a blog post. And this is what I would say. Go back and watch my video on YouTube on how to leverage ChatGPT and data and LinkedIn to write a blog post. It's not that hard. You literally take the data from your MLS, you use ChatGPT to explain the data for a blog, and then you hop over to LinkedIn. And when you make a post, there's an option for write an article. And the reason why I'm suggesting to go that route is because you're using the data that's already sourced. You didn't make it up. And then number two, you're leveraging AI, ChatGPT, Perplexity to write the article. And then you definitely take a second and edit it, and then take that information and put it into LinkedIn, and then use the image from the graphics that you give from your multiple listing service or your brokerage. And now you have a blog post. There you go. So here's what we want all of you to do. We want you to leverage the fact that we do free giveaways. So at the bottom of this feed, I have a free giveaway on 10 ways to use ChatGPT for a real estate agent. Dr. Mina Blazy, what do you have?
I have a prompt engineering guide and formulas, so both real estate agents and teachers can use it. In other words, how to create an effective prompt that works for you.
And I am Carrie Little, a broker owner in Illinois and Florida, the designated managing broker for Caremark Realty Group. I am also an educator and a keynote speaker in the real estate space. And I would love for you to connect with me on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube.
And I'm Dr. Mina Blazy, and I will ditto the connect with me on YouTube, MJ Blazy, and on Instagram, TikTok, which is Mina J. Blazy. And I'm an educational leader in the educational arena. And yes, I speak on AI and equity and inclusion and STEM education around the United States.